Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedstuffs 365. I'm Sarah Muirhead. Agricultural meteorologist Greg Soulje is back with us today. Welcome, Greg.
Hello, Sarah. Happy Tuesday and a happy Veterans Day or an honored Veterans Day for folks here on this November 11th. Thank you for all you do if you happen to be tuning into this broadcast.
Exactly. And I think you're sitting in some snow up there, Mr. Weather Guy, huh?
10 and a half inches of delight for early November. And I've been telling people because it's still south, it's a dry leaf because you're going to melt that roughly 10-to-1 ratio. So if you had, for example, 10 inches of snow, you will have about an inch worth of water percolating on down because there is no frost or freeze in the ground. So that's the way I'm spinning it for folks who are complaining about this stuff. And it was kind of a surprise for its extent southward into the Corn Belt a couple of days ago. But this too shall pass, and there'll be a swing of about 30 to 50 degrees in the warmer direction around here in the next 3 or 4 days, and we'll talk about it.
Very good. Well, let's let you get at it here.
Okay, on to the weather maps and charts. There is the morning one with the little flurry of snow that recoated some areas into eastern Illinois. A couple of snowflakes trying to reach the ground. Points on northward. That hashed red line is a warm front, and ahead of it, the isobars are compacted. And so I kind of my soapbox issue is when people, other forecasters say it's going to be a warmer day. You go from the teens to the 20s to the 30s, whatever it may be, even the 40s, but you got a 30-mile-an-hour wind at you, so it still knocks wind chills down. But temperatures beginning to moderate, if you will, back out of the 30s into the 40s, and that warmer area. It will be a dramatic swing from the plains into the Corn Belt locales. A fair amount of wind as well in the coming days. But apart from that, things quieting down on the weather maps and charts. You can see the system combined from what came through the Midwest to the plains. There was some organized snows as far south as, and far west, I should say, as Nebraska, the Dakotas, parts of Iowa, and as far east and south. I believe they had a couple of inches of snow as far south as the hill country or mountains just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. Frost and freeze this morning, by the way, all the way down to Mobile, Alabama, Florida Panhandle. Orlando had mid to upper 30s this morning, and the coastal sections of the Carolinas. Anyway, this afternoon, you see kind of a fast-moving system and a few flurries, which are going to move out of east central Illinois to northern Indiana and Michigan. A little snow-rain mix into the upper lakes region, and some additional snowfall on top of, again, not much frozen ground, wet grounds into the northeast of New England. So some added, if you want to spin it the right way, the glass is half full drought relief for the northeast of New England. And really from nothing going on from the Red River of the north of Missouri River on westward, a cool high pressure over the southeastern states where there may be perhaps a little frost and freeze back into the eastern Carolinas later on tonight, but that cold air will begin to modify and moderate. And again, any mixed moisture and or snowfall will remain up towards the Sioux, St. Lawrence River Valley into the northeast of New England. Little front will come through the area, turn at least across the Corn Belt and the Midwest, turn the winds in from the southwest at gusts maybe 30 to 35 miles per hour this afternoon. They'll hit west-northwesterly cliffs from the Red River down through the Twins into the Great Lakes and northern part of the Corn Belt tomorrow, out of the west-northwest at 20 to 30 and gusty there. But maybe some firming and drying of ground, fast-moving or at least fast-melting and or what we call sublimating snow melts from the bottom. That's because of the warm grounds, this sublimation process. You go from the snow or the ice to vapor, if you will. And that's a process that winds will sometimes do in the wintertime and actually bring down the snowfall and snowpack. And that will be the story as well, where there is snow cover and snowpack still lingering across parts of the plains and Corn Belt locales. Quiet high pressure builds on in. Note the pickup on moisture by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, as far south as the Bay Area. The first in a series of these atmospheric river systems coming back into play. They'll build southward, and there is added and significant drought relief for the western states of the southwest. High snow levels, but some rain in the desert southwest, and that system, those systems, as they take a turn out of the southwest with time, will be moving across the plains and Corn Belt locales. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. Kind of lining up nicely what we've talked about on This Week in Agribusiness, with an active weather pattern for the northwest, evolving with time as we get into the waning days of November and towards really Thanksgiving and beyond in early December, I think we begin to tap in or at least re-tap into some colder air, winter type air over the northern reaches of the country. In any event, rain through California, the Pacific Northwest, fairly high snow levels, a couple of little spells of snow and rain, and some mixed lake effect into the far eastern Great Lakes region, high and dry weather with a return of sunshine and lighter winds and temperatures recovering nicely with added snow melt over much of the eastern Corn Belt locales. So next couple of days in the moisture department, again, as we talked about, that'll be some sense of organized snowfall up towards the Sioux, north of the St. Lawrence Mountains of the northeast of New England, and moisture begins to pick up into northern California, Redding, Red Bluff, and coastal sections of the Pacific Northwest. That'll be moving inland in the coming days. There is the snow cover chart from this morning, and you still see from that key down there at the bottom, generally speaking, an inch to 3 inches still on the ground, running from the eastern parts of South Dakota to just outside the Corn Palace Sioux Empire region, anywhere between a dusting to, on average, 1 to 5 inches over northern and eastern Illinois, with the exception of some of those areas that got caught in some of these heavier snow squalls, lake effect style. And there were a couple of reports of thunder and lightning in areas of northern Cook County and eastern Cook County off the lake from that lake effect snow belt a couple of days ago. And the snow is still on the ground through northern Indiana, lower lakes region, even a dusting, but melting away quickly as far south as Kentucky and in through Tennessee. There's a look at high temperatures for the day today, and that red hashed line we saw, that warm front really separates daytime readings for the day today into the upper 30s and 40s, but again, complicated by a stout wind and limited sunshine. That cloud deck over the Midwest will be thinning out, but boy, anytime you can get some late autumn, early winter sun and get the winds to subside, feels a whole bunch better. But we're making progress in the temperature department, as in areas back west of the Missouri will be pushing into the 50s, 60s, even some low 70s. And a matter of fact, for I believe it's Maryland in town for Illinois football at Memorial Stadium this Saturday, Sarah. And I believe that actually we are forecasting temperatures down there to be tickling the 70-degree mark. And look at the warm up here getting going, relatively speaking, outside and sheltered from the winds. Upper 40s and 50s into the eastern Corn Belt, 50s and 60s, and crowding some 70-degree readings over bare ground areas across the Dakotas and southward in through Kansas. Some cooling in the Pacific West, especially California, with the clouds and moisture beginning to move on there. That's the Friday temperature map. Meanwhile, by the time we get into early next week, we'll get some cooling. Frontal system and weather system will be moving on through, but these temperatures, upper 40s and 50s, are still between 5 and 12 degrees above average across the northern plains, much of the Corn Belt, some cooling in the southwest, and moderation into the 70s over the southeastern part of the country. You'll see nighttime lows modifying and moderating, except for northern and central Florida, southern Georgia, maybe some upper 20s to mid 30s there tomorrow morning. Then by Friday morning, look at the flood of upper 30s, 40s, and 50s over the western 2/3 of the country. No real cold air anywhere across the Corn Belt or back into the plains. Pretty easy management of livestock operations as well, with no winter storms coming, no cold air per se for now, probably over the next 10 days or 12 days or so. Wetter conditions will be evolving, but we'll take a look at that in just a minute. Readings Monday morning into the mid 30s to mid 40s over much of the country. And here is the next 5 days on the weather maps and charts. Note the low spinning its way into California and the desert Southwest, the first in a series of systems coming on through there. So some drought relief expected. I've already seen some modest improvement through Northern California. This will hit the remainder, Pacific Northwestern areas too, then build into Southern California, Imperial Valley, San Joaquin Valley, desert Southwest, and make its way with little bits and pieces of weather systems rippling their way into the plains. You can see a little low on Monday across the plains and kind of washing out as it makes its way into the eastern Corn Belt. That will be essentially all rain. It should be all rain, maybe fairly high snow levels, so don't have to worry about that. So some welcome news for some of the drought areas of the west and southwest, and some relief as well, some moisture for some of those winter wheat fields over the central and southern plains. And you can see the surface map here between Friday and early next week with some tightening of the isobars, some windy weather, but a general flood of milder Pacific air off the Rockies and into the plains. And anytime you can do that and keep snow cover next to nil and have no cold air to contend with, and over some of the drier areas as well, temperatures still even in wintertime tend to warm up relatively well. You can see a feature in the plains moving into the Corn Belt between late Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday with some rainfall expected there. And already some wet grounds coming off the recent snow melt. So keep an eye on footing issues and heavier equipment usage out there. But again, most everyone is pretty wrapped up for the season with harvest and even fall cleanup. There is the active weather patterns, if you will be impacting the western states. Some significant moisture in the southwestern parts of the country, and as in Arizona, and a pretty sizable rain event will be materializing in that Sunday to Tuesday rain event. Again, southeastern plains, lower Mississippi Valley, Ozarks on southward. And if you recall and continue to stay up to date on the drought monitors, that's significant relief again. So the pattern is kind of beginning to shift into a more active one, bits and pieces slowly, but the vanguard to this pattern shift into a little busier weather kind of timed out around Thanksgiving into the early days of December. If you've been watching This Week in Agribusiness, things are lining on up. The next 7 days, maybe a half to an inch worth of rain in the central and especially southern Corn Belt areas. Folks have been calling into our farm show Down on the Farm on a radio station in Danville, Illinois, and complaints have been directly lodged at yours truly to get some moisture going. They're done with harvest, fall cleanup, and hydrous. Whatever they have up their sleeve, they're ready to go for wintertime. Things have been moved and supplied and stocked and all that. Now they need the rain, and the request has come directly to the weather guy. So we'll get it going here over the southern Corn Belt, back into the southeastern plains, lower Mississippi Valley. And look at the significant moisture, desert southwest into California, Pacific Northwest, and there'll be some both snow and rain into the St. Lawrence River Valley, the northeast of New England. So from a corridor where the worst dryness and drought-related issues are going on into the southern plains and southwestern states, the weather doctor has ordered up a pretty good swath of moisture, and not coming all at once. This will be the first in a series and bits and pieces of weather systems coming out in the next probably 10 to 12 days. There is the drought monitor, worse through Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, up into the northeast of New England. Still not much opportunity for drought relief over the southeastern part of the country, but we will get it through West Texas, the Four Quarters, and Southern California going forward in the next 5 to 7 days. And there's a snapshot of some of the drought issues across the central Corn Belt. And again, look at that snowfall. It's melting from the bottom on down, percolating, absorbing. There is zero frost and freeze to the ground. So that's a good way, at least, to get some benefit from some of these snows that generally aggravated people over the past couple of days. Next 6 to 10 day upper outlook has a little troughiness in the western states. That southwest to northeast wind flow keeps the weather pattern modestly active. No big winder uppers. The cold air is absent till you get into some of those blue hatched areas out through eastern Siberia and the Aleutian Island chain. That's it. Pretty mild air across the Canadian prairie. No sign of it coming southward anytime soon. In the next 2 weeks, about the same thing. Warm through the Canadian prairie. The cold air source is locked off and has no bearing on the rest of the United States or North America. Got to keep an eye on anything that comes out of Alaska, the Northwest Territories, and nothing coming southward there anytime soon. I think the transition to something full-fledged colder, as we've been talking about, appears to be just before the holidays, maybe a little snippet into the northern part of the country right at the beginning part of December. There's the outlook on temperatures. That cooling of the west is because of cloud cover and moisture. Pretty mild, winding through the remainder of November through Thanksgiving itself. Nothing like you see in springtime or summertime, but daytime readings in the upper 30s, 40s, 50s. We'll see a diminished bit of sunshine, but again, a pretty mild weather pattern for the Missouri on westward, still cooler than average because of cloud cover and this significant moisture pattern in the southwest that will hold on for the next 6 to 10 days and the next couple of weeks as well, with a slow evolution to the north and northeast. It'll be kind of a myriad of those systems moving on through over the next couple of weeks. So more cloud cover, more waves and periods of moisture, not any big winder uppers. So we don't have to worry about wind or big temperature fluctuations. Muddy grounds, some additional recharge, however you want to spin it. That's the way we're spinning it around here. And we'll get to the facts and the skinny of it all going forward into wintertime, Sarah, when we get together tomorrow for our live stream at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time. And, from this vantage point, I got no big headlines. It'll get progressively more active and character building as we get into the holiday season and beyond. But we'll try to narrow it down for you as we get together tomorrow, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, tune in here on Feedstuffs 365 for that update. And, I just learned you can call up the weather guy and put your requests in for what you want. So
that's assuming the weather guy
tuning
picks up the phone, B, doesn't delete the messages. But yeah, got a
Well,
direct. It was an interview that was going on at WITY Radio. It's a station that they do weather for. They do 30 hours of ag programming. Here, I'll plug them. 30 hours of ag programming. Max used to turn up there. He does once in a while. Mike Pearson has his feeds there. We're on there on a daily basis, 3-4 times a day. And they have a downloadable app. So I know it's Danville, Illinois, but anywhere in the world you can get kind of the audio version of This Week in Agribusiness, and daily updates from yours truly. And we will once in a while take note of complaints. We'll see how we address that.
Well, they could just
forward.
join us tomorrow and put it right there in the chat what they want to see.
Yeah,
so,
this is the time you fire those questions to the weather guy. Once in a while, it turns up at farm shows and speaking gigs, but this is another way to get in touch with them. So we'll try to answer those questions and get to the straight and narrow of the winter outlook. And, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
There we go. There we go. Well, we'll see you tomorrow, Greg, and we hope to see all of you as well.